Picture this. It's 2008, and Elon Musk is on the verge of losing absolutely everything. I mean, his companies are collapsing, his fortune is gone, and he is just days away from total catastrophic failure. But what happened next became one of the most legendary comeback stories in business history. So how in the world did he pull it off? And I mean, this wasn't just your typical bad day at the office stress. This was a soul-crushing, physical nightmare. Musk has said that 2008 was without a doubt the worst year of his life. The pressure was so intense, he later admitted he came so close to a total nervous breakdown. And that's the big question here, right? How do you pull yourself back from the absolute brink when everything, and I mean everyone, is telling you it's completely over? Okay, so to really get the comeback, you first have to understand just how bad things were. We're not talking about a little trouble here. We're talking about a complete multi-front collapse that was happening in real time. I mean, just look at this list. It's almost unbelievable that this was all happening to one person at the same time. SpaceX had burned through millions of dollars with pretty much nothing but spectacular explosions to show for it. Tesla was hemorrhaging cash and couldn't even pay its bills. And on top of all of that, his personal life was a wreck, and he was so broke he was borrowing money from friends just to get by. So you might be asking, how did he even end up in this mess? Well, it all started with two wildly ambitious, almost crazy goals and a decision to risk his entire fortune to make them happen. So after co-founding PayPal, Musk walked away with about $175 million. Now for 99.9% of people, that's it. You're done, you retire to a beach somewhere. But not Elon. He took basically every penny and plowed it into two companies that experts said were doomed to fail. One to build reusable rockets and colonize Mars, and the other to make electric cars mainstream. And this quote right here, it tells you everything you need to know about his mindset. See, for him, the money was never the point. It was just fuel for the fire. The real goal was making an impact. He looked at the future and didn't see enough progress in space or sustainable energy, so he decided he was going to force it into existence, no matter what it cost him personally. And that personal cost? Well, it all came crashing down in 2008. This was the year his massive bets came due, and it looked like he was about to lose it all. You know, the dominoes just started falling, and fast. By the middle of the year, SpaceX had failed for the third time in a row. Then the 2008 global financial crisis hit, which basically slammed the door shut on raising any more money for a risky startup like Tesla. By Christmas, both companies were on life support. So you've got this insane two-front war going on. At SpaceX, they were down to their very last rocket. A fourth failure wasn't just a setback, it was game over. Lights out. Done. Meanwhile, Tesla was in what Musk called production hell, burning through money so quickly that he himself gave it less than a 10% chance of making it. The experts, they were openly predicting both would fail. And on a personal level, he was completely wiped out. He'd poured every last bit of his own money into the companies, and now he was borrowing cash to pay for living expenses. The dot-com whiz kid was literally couch surfing with friends because he didn't even have a place to live. So this brings him to this impossible choice. A lot of his advisors were telling him, dude, cut your losses, pick one and let the other one die. But he couldn't. He made the gut-wrenching call to split what little he had left between them. A move he later said could have and probably should have killed them both. But even with all this crushing pressure, Musk just wouldn't quit. He gave the green light for one final desperate launch attempt for SpaceX. This was it, the whole shebang. One last desperate roll of the dice. You know, the entire fate of SpaceX really boiled down to a single number. 1. They had just enough money and just enough parts for one more launch. That was it. I mean, you heard him. It just doesn't get any clearer than that. It was literally do or die. The entire future of SpaceX, his dream of making humanity multiplanetary, it was all riding on this one launch. And what happens next? Well, it's the kind of thing they make movies about. In the span of just a few days at the very end of 2008, everything, and I mean everything, changed. Okay, so it starts on September 28th. The fourth Falcon 1 rocket, it makes it to orbit. Huge success. That victory was the proof of concept they needed. Then, on December 23rd, NASA calls, and they give SpaceX a massive $1.6 billion contract, an incredible lifeline. But Tesla was still literally hours from going under. Musk tweeted this years later, and it just gives you chills. It really shows you how down to the wire this whole thing was. The last-ditch financing deal for Tesla closed at 6 p.m. on Christmas Eve. Think about that. The last hour of the last possible day. If that deal hadn't closed, they couldn't have made payroll. The company would have been toast. Okay, so what can we learn from this absolutely bonkers story of hitting rock bottom and coming back? Well, it actually gives us a pretty powerful playbook for facing our own huge challenges. First up, and it's a big one, is just pure, stubborn perseverance. Like he said, I don't ever give up. He pushed through when anyone else would have quit. And that drive came from a bold vision. You know, he wasn't just trying to make a quick buck. He was trying to change humanity's future. He also learned to embrace failure. Those rockets blowing up, he saw them as expensive but necessary lessons. Of course, none of this happens without an insane work ethic, and it was all driven by a purpose that was way bigger than just profit. I mean, the scale of this turnaround is just mind-blowing when you stop and think about it. Just imagine for a second, if that fourth rocket had failed, if that Christmas Eve deal had fallen through, we might not have reusable rockets or a global EV revolution today. Elon Musk would have been a cautionary tale, not the icon he is now. And really, that's the question this whole story leaves you with, right? When you're at your breaking point, when everything is stacked against you, when the experts are all saying you're going to fail, what will you do? It's an incredible reminder that sometimes the greatest comeback is waiting just one step beyond what feels like the end.